What a way to start our meeting. Appreciate everybody being here today for our August 7th Board of Supervisor meeting. Today we will have an invocation by Chaplain Donna Samog. And then following that, I'll ask Supervisor Surdy if he'll give the Pledge of Allegiance. Those that wish to join, please stand.
Almighty God, may your grace cover each aspect of this meeting. I pray that this be a safe place for people to express their opinions and a place where ideas matter more than titles. God, you are the builder of all things. Please lead, guide, and direct this meeting to have effective strategies generated, plans that are practical, sustainable, and easily implemented. May everyone be engaged and involved, and that all concerns be addressed. May each participant feel valued, and each individual be recognized for the skill sets and the knowledge that they bring to the table. Guide everyone toward the best way to take action to accomplish the goals in a timely fashion. Amen.
Would you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now begin our Board of Supervisor meeting. I'm going to pull a little bit of an audible. We have several employees that are here today, and I'm going to go to item number 2 first, if that's okay. Actually, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just asking you to accept that for now. So, Leo.
Thank you, Chairman. We wanted to take an opportunity to thank a lot of our important employees this morning. As this affected much of society, much of the world, and surely affected us significantly, and we wanted to thank those employees who worked on this. On Friday, the 19th of July, we all woke to news of a global IT outage impacting airlines, banks, and other businesses across the globe, all caused by an IT security company called CrowdStrike that pushed a bad update, which caused it to crash Microsoft Windows computers that were using its product. Our county IT team was first alerted to this issue at 10:30 p.m. on Thursday night. They responded through the night to ensure that important servers and public-facing services were back online, prioritizing the likes of public safety and elections who were at the time offering early voting. The vast majority of our employees' computers were impacted, and the fix involved physically repairing each computer, which, as you can imagine, took some time on Friday and through the weekend. By the end of Monday, 95% of all county assets had been restored. And so just to give you an idea of some of the stats of the work that our staff did on that Thursday night, Friday morning, we had our infrastructure team initially responding, and they spent about 115 hours of work just on that period. And then on Friday, our PCs and applications workers, about 35 to 40 employees, spent about 320 hours. On Saturday, we had 7 employees spending about 70 hours. And then on Monday, another 45 to 50, spending about 400 hours. And so over 50 IT staff, and then, of course, others in the county that were working and to get all of their services back online. So we asked all of these people that worked on this tirelessly and effectively to come today and be recognized and thanked for their efforts. So thank you all. If you could stand and be recognized for those of you that worked.
And thank you, Leo. I really appreciate that. We know the mission, and we know the mission is to keep the computers up and running. We know that our team knows this innately. I didn't have to call an audible and say, look, guys, I need you to jump into the office and fix this stuff. I was on vacation on Friday. I asked them, I said, hey, do you guys need me to come in and help you guys fix this stuff? And their answer was, I think we got it. So that's the team. They know what they're doing. They have their stuff together. I couldn't be more prouder of them in this moment for their response to this. Because there's other companies that lost hundreds of millions of dollars because of this outage, right? So our team was back up almost the next day at mostly functional, at least for the public services. If not by the following business day, they were at 95% functional for a global IT outage. That's impressive. Because let me just give you a little bit of the scope of this. Granted, we're talking about 3,000 computers. We're talking about, some number of endpoints, right? Each one of those had to be touched. Not all of them are sitting next to each other. This county is 5,600 square miles, and we have places all over the county. So our team really came together. Again, they didn't even need to be told, hey, this is what we need to do. They know the mission. They got it done. So, like I said, I couldn't be more proud of them, and thank you, Leo. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. What an impressive showing. And, they had to be ready to take action when it happened. So if they weren't already a good team and weren't already ready, they wouldn't have been as successful as they are. So to your point, they're always prepped, they're always ready, and they're always on key. We know that other even Fortune 500 companies are struggling weeks after, and probably still today. So thank you again, team. Good job. I'd like to celebrate another win for the county in another way. This was a grant that was applied for multiple times over many years in the past. In fact, I think the people that probably won and wrote the application for this grant have already retired. But it's significant and impactful, especially to the inland port of Arizona and to the projects that call that place home, and for the projects that are going to be calling that place home in the future. So if we have a video, thank you.
The Inland Port of Arizona is a strategically located piece of property that's between Phoenix and Tucson along the I-10 corridor.
In 2019, Pinal County was awarded a build grant from the United States Department of Transportation.
We did some paving improvements along Hannah Road. We also put a traffic signal at the State Route 87 in Hannah, and then we also did some rehabilitation construction along Hauser. Hauser is where the Nikola Motors plant is located, and we also installed a much needed traffic signal for those folks trying to get to Interstate 10. Any improvements to transportation look favorably to potential economic development opportunities, and they also provide safety enhancements for the traveling public who's working nearby. This was the first federally administered U.S. DOT discretionary grant that the county has worked on. It took about a year to get the grant agreement figured out with Federal Highways.
Our administration encourages us to work really closely with local government agencies.
And we relied heavily on our consultants and contractors to get the project done.
We built a strong relationship with Pinal County, with the city of Coolidge, with Eloy, with the state of Arizona.
Our construction manager was CEI Consultants. Our contractor was Sunland Asphalt. Our design consultant was TY Lynn International, State Holdings, who donated some right-of-way that we needed for the project.
So it was really a group effort to make sure that we got from that point a few years ago, just receiving the grant, all the way through construction.
What is the old adage? Surround yourself with great people and you'll receive great success. This was a huge honor. It's a recognition and incredible partnership of teamwork that made the local project a huge success. This award is a testament to our collective efforts and commitments in improvements to transportation that are both public and private.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Leo, and thank you to our staff, all of them. We appreciate you and everything that you're doing. Okay, item number 1, call to the public. I have 3 cards here. Ralph Atcho? That's you.
Thank you, Mr. President and Board. Ralph Atchu, Eloy, Arizona. I wanted to start by congratulating all of the primary winners and to say that I thought Pinal County Recorder's Office and Dana Lewis did a great job with the election. I was an observer at one of the polls, and when a question came up, Dana Lewis's team jumped right in and took care of it. So I want to congratulate them on running a great primary election. Elections in Pinal County seem to be safe and secure, and every voter should have confidence in all that's done through the Recorder's Office. I have to express quite a bit of disappointment and shock that County Attorney Ken Folkmer was defeated. I thought that he was an extremely fair-minded, sensible, calm, and reasonable man, and I think his leadership will be missed at the county attorney's office. I wanted to bring attention to the board and everyone else. This was yesterday's Arizona Republic front page. Arizona Republicans lining up to support Harris. And Mesa Mayor John Giles is quoted, along with Scottsdale Mayor Representative Robin Shaw, Apache Junction Mayor Douglas Coleman, former Jerome Mayor Jack Dillenberger, Peggy Neely, former Vice Mayor of Phoenix. And I just want to read the quote from Mayor Giles. As a lifelong Arizonan and longtime Republican, I strongly believe in defending democracy and standing up for our personal freedoms. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance represent the greatest threat to American values and institutions that I have seen in my lifetime. And that's why I'm committed to defeating him in November. They're also expressing support for Ruben Gallego for United States Senate over Kerry Lake. I urge each of you to consider joining that group of growing Republicans across the country and in Arizona. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Arlen Trout.
I'm Arlen Trout from Gold Canyon, and I've come to update you on the trout matter. These reports expose elements of a fraudulent scheme by local land developers that involved Pinal County officials. The scheme is aimed at acquiring premium properties to develop high-dollar homes with unethical acts designed to violate laws, threaten people, and abuse our legal processes. However, this is more than just a classic Pinal County land swindle. This seems to have evolved into a scheme of necessity to conceal this scandal at any cost. This report highlights the misuse of public funds and the complicity of law enforcement before and after the Trout versus Russell rulings. These defendants threaten me and my family with their wealth, their religious and political influence, and their false claim of ownership of my family's property in Pinal County by two Pinal County officials. Despite owning our land in Gold Canyon for over 50 years, Sheriff Mark Lamb and County Attorney Kent Volkmer forced my family into civil court for protection and to prove ownership of our land, knowing we were being threatened and bullied. These serious threats and tactics were designed and are still being used to pressure me and my family into abandoning and selling our damaged and devalued property on Kings Ranch Ridge. Our dear neighbors are trying to sell their home far below market value and have moved out of Pinal County. Board member Jeff Surtee had evidence in September of 23 that county officials were involved in unethical behavior, ignoring regulations and granting pro-development favors. County officials, Noe Russell, the Beemans, and the Graffa defendants took advantage and presented forged and fraudulent documents with misrepresentations of legal rulings to secure building permits and easements under false pretenses. Now compromised by the Trout versus Russell ruling, officials appear to be compelled to protect themselves and Russell with public funds and specialized lawyers from Maricopa County. This appearance of using public funds to shield public officials from accountability before these controversial elections could have easily been avoided. The hiring of outside counsel and the board's silence only compounds this appearance of impropriety. The scandals and its victims are not even being formally acknowledged by the sheriff or the board. These defendants continue their threats and appear to be financially profiting while ignoring court orders to remove their construction and repair their criminal trespass damage in less than 60 days.
Thank you, Mr. Trout.
Please read the rest of this, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. George Ellison.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors. George Ellison, Gold Canyon. Last month, President Trump was almost assassinated. So who's responsible for the hatred that fueled this attempted assassination? Democrat Party officials, activists, and the media, but I repeat myself, for over 8 years, 24/7, have told us, with never-ending slander, smears, and lies, that Trump was literally Hitler, the evilest man in history. President Trump, under who we lived freely, who didn't kill anybody, compared to a man who caused 75 to 80 million people to die. When the Democrats said that, they were calling for Trump's assassination because it is a moral imperative that Hitler be assassinated. Democrats also created an entire moral vocabulary of condemnation to dehumanize President Trump and all Republicans. They call us maggots, bitter clingers, deplorables, irredeemables, dregs. Well, let's play by the Democrat rules. At the last meeting here, a Democrat activist claimed that silence becomes complicity when Republicans resist Democrat activist bills. I mean, the statement makes no sense, but we have much more than silence. We have actual words spoken here of slander, smears, and falsehoods about President Trump. And those that have said it are complicit in President Trump's attempted assassination. Here in this very hall, the three horsemen of the Democrat apocalypse said, Trump is Hitler. Racism slithers under different Republican labels. The Arizona Republican Party wallows in racial superiority. Racist attitudes and policies of the past are still there under the Republican banner, blood and soil, Jews will not replace us. How dare you say something like that? I know history. Adolf Hitler said that, but you put it all together to make it seem as though President Trump said that. Well, let me give you a history lesson. Democrats were the slave owners that didn't treat blacks as human beings. Republicans fought to free the slaves. And the blacks were set free. Republicans won, you Democrats lost. Since 1964, the Democrat Party has made life miserable for millions of blacks and Hispanic Americans by supporting criminals and illegal aliens over them and supporting the massive abortions of black babies. Democrats, you've dehumanized President Trump and you've treated over 100 million Republicans as subhumans. You just switched the object of your hate from blacks to Republicans. At one of our meetings here, a Democrat admonished us to love our neighbors as ourselves from Matthew 22. I agree. Do you think that you've set a good example of loving your neighbor as yourself when you slander, smear, and lie about President Trump and Republicans? Or have you done the opposite of what Jesus commanded? Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any other cards. Is there? Yes, sir. Mr. Wolf.
Good morning, members of the board, Mr. Chairman. I'm here in my official capacity today, not to expound any polemics. Just want to remind the board and members of the audience and the public that September 1st is the deadline for the senior freeze applications to be put into place. And this protects the valuation increase in your property. I foresee more inflation in property values in the next couple of years. This helps taxpayers. It doesn't freeze their taxes, but it freezes the valuation on which we base those that taxation. So I would encourage everyone to go to our website, see if they're eligible, and go ahead and apply. You can go to any one of the satellite offices, although I think the Maricopa office is closed right now for repairs. Is that right, Leo? Is Maricopa closed? Yeah. They're doing some repairs there. So anyway, you can come here and do it. It's a fairly simple process, and our staff will be glad to help anybody who's interested in applying. And I want to thank the voters again for re-electing me to my fourth term. 72% felt pretty good on Tuesday night. Thank you very much, board.
we good? We're good. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir. Make sure you state your name, and I failed to make that announcement earlier.
Chairman Goodman, members of the board, Tom Bean. Good morning. I'm here today not to speak for myself, but for my wife. She asked me if I would come here today and bring up something that concerns her a great deal. So here it is. A number of years ago, she bought a number of parcels of land here in Pinal County, and now almost daily we either get a postcard or a letter from somebody somewhere in the country wanting to buy it. It'll have her complete name, complete address, complete description of the land, the parcel land, and whatever, and she's worried. What if somebody decided to take that information, go to their computer, print out their own information that says they are now the owner? Is there any protection that is afforded her from something like that? And if so, she would like to know what it is. I have no idea, but it is concerning to her and to me. By the way, that was the best invocation I've ever heard in maybe 30 years of attending these meetings. It was inclusive for a change, not diversive. I won't get into the other speaker, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak at this? Okay. Are you going to, I've got you for another item. Yes. Okay. All right.
I'm Noel Reck from Eloy. I'll begin by praising several agenda items positively focused on the county's communities, the topics being environmental quality and compliance, pension funding, rental assistance, the Workforce Act, economic development, and fire station administration. Those are all great things. Of particular interest to me are items AI through AP, dealing with safe neighborhoods, victim services, compensation and advocacy, and family advocacy, courtesy of County Attorney Kent Volkmer's office. I'm happy these valuable programs are being funded, while sad to know that he's leaving. His experienced professional leadership replaced by apparent MAGA extremism. We're losing a good man who's served the county well. I believe his electoral defeat was a result of lies and misinformation from the self-described MAGA slate campaigns. I also believe an open primary would have kept him in the race. That's something to think about for the future. Supervisor McClure publicly decried those lies and deceitful campaigns, and I appreciate that. I also want to say, and not sarcastically, welcome to the club. I hope the board will follow his lead and speak out as well in the future. We're also tired of the lying, election-denying, hateful attacks and name-calling that was supposed to all change after the July 13th shooting. Tired of Wendy Rogers, Mark Fincham, Paul Gosar, Eli Crane, Andy Biggs, Kerry Lake, Abe Hamaday, and the constant stream of lies they put forth. Now come the lies of not knowing about the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. The cat got out of the bag, and now Trump and his campaign are running from it as fast as they can. Be an educated voter. In the search box, enter, how will Project 2025 affect education, or veterans, or child care, or Social Security, or health care, or taxes, or reproductive rights, et cetera, et cetera. There are many articles to choose from credible sources. Coming soon, Jenna Ellis will testify about the Arizona fake slate of electors, and more lies will be uncovered. Current reporting indicates Egypt, up to no good with the recently found guilty Senator Menendez, may have also been involved with Donald Trump to the tune of an illegal $10 million campaign contribution/bribe. An investigation into the matter shut down by Trump's AG puppet, Bill Barr. So the denials naturally fly. I have a suggestion. If you can hear me, Donald, show the documents that would prove you weren't involved. What a campaign coup that would be. It's what he asked of President Obama to produce proof of his birth. Surely he can boldly follow suit and show his proof. Or will he play the victim, as he always does? To end, a vote for MAGA candidates from Trump down to the school boards is a vote for Project 2025. Please don't make that mistake. And by the way, it was J.D. Vance who compared Trump to Hitler. Thank you.
Any others that would like to speak?
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Chairman Goodman. Good luck, or congratulations to all of you that went through the primary. First of all, I would like to say thank you, Vicki McLaughlin, District 5 Chairman in Apache Junction. First of all, I would like to say thank you to our elections people, the board, the office, and Dana Lewis. I visited every poll in District 5, all 23 polls, and what a wonderful experience. Everybody seemed trained. When there was a question or a problem, they were able to call in, and it was immediately taken care of. It was just a very pleasant day. And all of my observers have indicated the same experience in most of the polls. Second, I would like to say that I think it is a crying shame. I don't care what party you belong to, but a crying shame that people in America seem so willing to vote for the socialistic government that is trying to be foisted on us in the greatest country in the world, the freest country in the world. Everybody wants to get here, but we seem to be willing to accept and vote and try to push a socialistic program. It's sad.
Thank you. Is there any others? Okay.
Roberto Revelis, resident of Gold Canyon. Yesterday, some of us celebrated the Voting Rights Act. Some of us who have been subjected, as I have, to racism and bigotry, so I don't need any lectures from fellow residents from Gold Canyon on that topic. But I want to say I am concerned that our democratic republic needs to be the topic of involvement. Less than 30% of the registered voters participated in electing some of you and defeating some of us candidates. And I think it's bringing controversial topics under the consent calendar that add to the disinterest, if you will, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. There's an item on the consent calendar that is controversial, that requires more than a few moments of passing it virtually without discussion. And so I encourage you to give careful thought to avoiding placing on the consent calendar items that have been previously discussed by the board, rejected by the board. So I will have more questions when that item comes up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any others? Okay, seeing that there's none, we'll close call to the public, and we'll go on to item number 3, which is supervisor district updates regarding notable current or upcoming events concerning the district. Supervisor Kavanaugh.
I have nothing today, thank you.
Supervisor McClure.
Yes. Yesterday we were down in Oracle and we did a ribbon cutting for the park that we have refurbished. It was a much needed addition to the community, and Chairman Goodman showed up. He drove all the way down there. It's a pretty good run for him. And I think we have a video.
There was the little playground to play on and the swings and stuff.
We're here to cut the ribbon on the newly redone Oracle Park. This is a very community-minded area, so when something like this comes about, everybody comes out for it. It's a great deal.
Oracle Park redevelopment project started in 2017 with the partnership with University of Arizona and saying, how do we improve this park but still keep the essence of what it is? And it's a property with almost 100 trees on it. So the goal was to make very tasteful additions to the park.
I mean, this play structure with the shade and the trees.
We didn't want to, remove any trees. We wanted, to make sure that there was additional shade, so we did add a few trees.
They did a lot of work. They put in a walking trail that takes apparently 5 times around to make a mile.
You've got ADA, accessible sidewalk.
I like the way that they fix the sidewalks to where there's not so many cracks in them.
Accessibility. So we really wanted this to be a place that was accessible to everyone.
Much better parking around the facility.
Improved basketball court.
And they fixed the basketball court so it's easier to play on.
Folks on our team making sure the bat population through the construction project is still healthy and vibrant.
The bathrooms have definitely been redone, which is a big improvement.
The park was built in 1968. So that restroom dates back to 1968, and really not a lot of improvements made since 1968. All new partitions, it was completely gutted, all new plumbing, everything brand new in that restroom. So it may have the facade of the historic structure, which is what we wanted to keep, but inside is all new.
But this new play structure right here behind us is a great addition to the park. And there's been a lot of comments on it from the community that they really think is, a terrific addition.
It's challenging. It'll test them, I guess, on certain things, like the ropes and the monkey bars and stuff.
When people think back to their childhood, you're hard-pressed to think of a memory that doesn't include a park. This play structure will do that for many generations to come.
This is a great way to spend tax dollars. I mean, that's why you pay taxes, is for us to do things like this and to help out the communities and to make it fun.
Did you have fun?
I had fun. Those trees, the trees that were behind that play structure were planted there probably 30 years ago. There used to be a justice of the peace in that area that was kind of tough on people, and one of the guys got picked up for like a nickel bag of marijuana or something like that, and he was a local electrician, and so I said, well, I'm not going to sentence you to something bad. I'm going to make you do community service. And he said, well, what's that going to be? He says, you're going to plant trees at the park. So those big trees that are around there were planted by this one gentleman that's no longer around, but they're huge and a great addition to the community.
It sounds like something my dad would have done. Supervisor Surtee.
I don't have any report. I just have some comments. One, I love this new emphasis on parks because that really builds communities, and a lot of people think the county shouldn't be into that, but of course we should, especially regional parks. And also with the election, I had the opportunity and felt it was my duty to go to every polling place that I could and checked on the workers. Did they have everything they need? And the morale was high and everything seemed to be going very well. And long days for those folks. A lot of them get there at 5:30 and they don't get home till 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we appreciate all of the volunteers that went out there and make those elections go so smoothly.
Thank you. Supervisor Miller.
Nothing particular to the to District 3, but I want to echo the same comments that Supervisor Surtee brought up with the volunteers and workers on the polls, and it was nice to go through an election without any phone calls and smiling faces from the folks that did participate in it. But like he said, and our staff, the recorder's office and what have you, they all were working till late in the evening as well for several days. So anyway, good job there. That's all I have for now. I'll have more when we get to item 7.
Okay, thank you. And, I echo the sentiments and comments that Supervisor Surtee and Supervisor Miller both said. That was something that I made an exhorted effort to make sure that I went to every poll. And it was, the morale was high and very positive, and so it was pretty good. They even had troubleshooters on on hand that could help and assist with any kind of questions or anything of that nature. Okay, item number 4. Discussion, approval, disapproval of a proclamation proclaiming the month of August 2024 Child Support Awareness Month. Natasha. Oh.
Do I read it? Oh, hi. My name is Nicole Olvera. I am with DES Division of Child Support Services, and I am here hoping that you will approve the proclamation.
Okay. Any questions or anything that anybody has? Any comments?
Do you want to tell us about what it is so the audience can know what's going on?
Yeah, of course.
Don't read it, but tell us about it.
Yes, for accuracy, I have a couple notes that I can share. So in 1995, on the 20th anniversary of the Child Support Enforcement Program, President Bill Clinton established August as Child Support Awareness Month in the United States. This year, Governor Katie Hobbs has signed a proclamation recognizing August as Child Support Awareness Month as well. On average, the Division of Child Support Services 132,000 children each year, assisting in the access to financial resources they need to thrive. And I do have the proclamation to read once you guys.
Okay, thank you. You know, I met with a young lady yesterday in my office that she is starting a program to work with the age group between 16 and 21 that are in the foster care program and kind of help them acclimate. And so when you said you were with DES, that's where she was working with you guys pretty closely. And so with that, do we have a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve proclamation as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. You can read that for us now.
Thank you so much. Whereas the County of Pinal joins the nation in recognizing August as Child Support Awareness Month and reaffirms its commitment to strengthening Arizona families by providing child support services to improve the economic stability and well-being of children. And whereas the state of Arizona will always be committed advocates for our children whose safety and security remain top of mind. And whereas a child who receives emotional and financial support is more likely to feel safe and secure and is better equipped with the courage to be their very best in life. And whereas the Department of Economic Security, Division of Child Support Services, DCSS, is robustly committed to putting Arizona's children first and to humbly serving Arizonans with excellence, respect, integrity, and kindness, as well as being an overall champion for economic growth and opportunity. And whereas DCSS strongly advocates for shared parenting responsibilities because parents and children benefit when both parents are engaged with their child at every stage, regardless of marital status. And whereas DCSS recognizes the commitment of legal guardians who accept the responsibilities of children in the absence of parents. And whereas strengthening individuals and families with an emphasis on fiscal responsibility promotes the safety and well-being of children, provides stability, improves the lives of children, and provides opportunities for families to be able to enhance their children's future. And whereas Child Support Awareness Month values parents' involvement in their child's lives and who make regular child support payments to safeguard their children's future. Now, therefore, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaim the month of August as Child Support Awareness Month throughout the Pinal County, proclaimed this 7th day, August 2024. Thank you so much, Chairman Goodman and Board of Supervisors. On behalf of the department, we truly appreciate you guys and your commitment every year. Thank you.
Thank you. Should we get a picture? Okay. Half her stand. Okay. You know what? Let's take a picture if that's okay for our support of it.
do me a favor before we get on that side. Scooch over a little bit. Yep, there you go. There you go. There we go. That looks good. All right, big smiles. 3, 2. Nice. I can do a couple more. 3, 2, 1. Wow, you guys look good today. 3, 2. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 6, presentation discussion by the Arizona Department of, hold on a second. Item number 5, recognition and appreciation, acknowledgement, the contributions of the following individuals for their assistance in passing Senate Bill 1670 pertaining to public-private partnership contracts during the current Arizona legislative session by Greg Harvison, Senior Vice President, Aviation Services Group, DigiFlight, Inc., Tammy Rial, Governmental Relations for Pinal County, Mark Barnes, Arizona Capital Connections, contracted with us through Pinal County. And here to visit with us is Mr. Stan Oliver, correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Glad you did forget me. So good morning, Mr. Chairman and supervisors. My name is Stanford Oliver. I am the president and CEO of DigiFlight Incorporated, an information technology, aviation, and space company headquartered in Columbia, Maryland. I want to say this first, that on any given day, my team is out hunting for cybersecurity threats and mitigating those threats in critical infrastructure sectors. So to hear what your IT team did in that response is very impressive, right? Because there are a lot of organizations still trying to recover, like Leo indicated. So that's I applaud your team for that, to see that type of preparedness. I'm joined on my left by Brigadier General retired Michael Flowers, our Chief Operating Officer, and Colonel retired Greg Hartvickson, who lives in Arizona, our Senior Vice President for Aviation Services. It is an honor and a privilege to appear before you today and thank you for your support in our pursuit of public-private partnership legislation at the state legislature. While we believe we had a good case, we knew that being an out-of-state firm taking the lead on a procurement matter would put us in an awkward position with legislators who might be skeptical about our motives and intentions. Then an extraordinary thing happened. Pinal County took an interest in the bill. What looked like nearly an impossible task became possible. Later, upon hearing of your phone calls, letters, and testimony regarding the county's interest in the legislation, we knew we had a real chance. While it took months and more than one amendment to get the measure passed, the governor ultimately signed Senate Bill 1670 into law in May. That success would not have been possible without the efforts and expertise of 3 people who serve you. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Ms. Tammy Rao of your staff and your contracted team of Ms. Alexis Sussdorf and Mr. Mark Barnes, I believe he's having he's struggling with a storm issue, storm damage, come forward. Okay, thank you. Take a picture. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah. Are you okay with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
If we can do that.
good spot for you, sir. Right there. Okay. Here we go. And 3, 2. Look at that. Good, genuine smiles. And one more. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, that's right.
They sort of skipped.
That's right. Before the board goes back. Okay. Go ahead, Sandy.
We'll take a picture. Is this mine or the board?
Do you get of course.
Taking a picture with the board.
Yeah,
sorry, everybody, one step over because he's getting crunched over here. There you go. There you go. Squeeze them together like you like each other. And nice. Go back just a tiny bit. There you go. And 3, 2. Great. One more. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Okay, not only did we give them a plaque, but we gave them a DigiFlight corporate challenge coin. So what they have to understand about that coin is about our heritage. But that challenge coin, if they see me again and I challenge them with a coin, then they got to buy me the beverage of my choice if they don't have that coin. In closing, I want to express my appreciation for all of you, and my hope is that we may someday be working more closely together. I want to leave you, we left you with a plaque, and for your leadership and vision you demonstrated in support of the passage of laws 2024, Chapter 201, Senate Bill 1670, public-private partnership contracts. Our goal is to provide 300-plus jobs to Arizona and to help revitalize your air park. So that's what we like to try to do. So thank you for your support. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. We appreciate it. You know, when it comes to these private-public partnerships, that's something that we've been looking at a lot more lately in some of the things that we've done. I think it has a lot to help stimulate the economy in our area. And so thank you, gentlemen, for your efforts and things that you did, helping us move that thing forward. So thank you. Okay, now item number 6, presentation discussion by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality regarding PM 2.5 and Arizona's draft boundary recommendations for 2024 primary annual PM 2.5 by Zachary Dorn. This is Anu Jain and Hamachu. Oh, you've already you guys snuck up on me.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, Board of Supervisors. I would like to thank and introduce our staff from Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, our counterpart, to go over the presentation for the PM 2.5 annual standard, which was lowered from 12 to 9 micrograms per cubic meter. And this caused one of the air quality monitors in Pinal County to exceed. So the staff would be going over the timelines and the analysis done to reach these boundary recommendations for our county.
Can you, are you going to explain what that is?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the presentation that they would be doing would have the context of the boundary recommendations and what the non-attainment and PM 2.5 standard and how, so the presentation covers it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Goodman and members of the board. We appreciate the opportunity to come and present to you today on this topic. Just an overview of the presentation. Today we'll be talking about the revised fine particulate matter standard, as Anu mentioned. We'll be talking about why it's important and its impact to public health. We'll also be talking about the state's designation timeline and the different factors that are considered in this analysis. And then we'll also be going over some opportunities to look at some of the data through some geographic information system tools, and also leave you with our contact information if anybody has any further questions. Sorry, yes, my name is Elias Doon with the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality and the Air Quality Division. I'm joined here today by my colleague Elizabeth Sterner, also in the Air Quality Division. So just as some background on fine particulate matter. So particulate matter is a complex mixture of both small particles and liquid droplets. And so those small particles can be things such as dirt, dust, smoke, things even such as dust or pollen or mold. And those things can combine together to form small particles that can enter into your body and have negative health consequences. There's a nice graphic here on the screen from the Environmental Protection Agency that shows the size of these particles that we're talking about. So in the bottom left-hand corner of this graphic, you'll see a depiction of fine beach sand is usually on the order of 90 microns in aerodynamic diameter. You'll see human hair is 50 to 70 microns through the middle there. You'll see some blue particles, which are particles of 10 microns in aerodynamic diameter. And then inset within that are those very small red or pink particles. And those are the fine particulate matter. So really, really small particles. And the size is why they're important, is they're so small that they can evade our body's protection methods to keep some of these particles out. And they get really deep in our airways, and they can even penetrate into your bloodstream. And so that's why these particles are really important. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the health impacts from those particles. So generally, the impact of these particles are studied through epidemiological studies at the national level through multi-year processes. And what we have seen is that there is both short-term and long-term impacts from being exposed to high levels of these PM2.5 particles. They can aggravate lung disease, they can lead to asthma attacks, and they've even been linked to heart attacks and increased prevalence of heart disease. Over the long term, they can also lead to reduced lung function, chronic bronchitis, and even premature death. So as Anu mentioned, for this most recent timeline, the EPA has lowered the annual standard from 12 micrograms per cubic meter down to a level of 9 micrograms per cubic meter. There's multiple different forms of the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. You can see multiple of them are listed here, both annual standards and 24-hour standards. So those are just how we measure the time duration of those particles. And so EPA only revised one of these, so just that top line item. So it'll be the primary annual standard, so the standard which is intended to be protective of human health. And so for the project timeline, the state gets 1 year, essentially, to plan around this process. So the Environmental Protection Agency revised the primary annual standard on February 7th of this year, which set up a 1-year timeline for the governor to provide recommendations to the EPA administrator for all portions of the state, whether they are meeting the standard or not meeting the standard. Inside that 1-year timeline, there is also state statutory requirements that the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality must meet. Some of those are detailed here, such as around the September-October timeframe, we need to have a draft boundary recommendation presented to the public, hold a 30-day public comment period, as well as a public hearing at the conclusion, which we expect to occur in the October to November timeframe. Which will allow us to submit by January 7th of 2025 a final recommendation to the governor's office for their consideration. Once those recommendations are submitted to the EPA administrator, the EPA has 1 year to consider whether or not to accept or to revise those recommendations made by the state. So we expect to have an answer from EPA on the final boundaries in approximately the February 7th, 2026 timeframe. So what goes into that governor's recommendation? The governor needs to identify each portion of the state as either non-attainment, unclassifiable, or attainment. So to break those down, for non-attainment, non-attainment are any areas that are not meeting that revised National Ambient Air Quality Standard or are contributing to an area's non-attainment of that standard. Unclassifiable are designations that are given to portions of the state where there are no current air quality monitors, so the state is unaware of if the standard is being met or not, since there's no ambient air quality monitors. And attainment is given to areas that are not only meeting the standard, but are also shown to not be contributing to that standard. So into the recommendation that the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality is developing, we adopt a 5-factor framework method of evaluating different factors to insert into a weight of evidence approach. So the 5 factors that the state evaluates are air quality data, emissions and emissions-related data, geography and topography, meteorology, and also jurisdictional boundaries. So in the evaluation of all these different factors, we come to a conclusion on what our recommended boundary would be to pass along to the governor's office. So to give you a frame of reference of where the potential violating monitors are around our state, this is using a 3-year average, which is how the annual design value is calculated for particulate matter. And you can see here that there are currently 5 violating monitors across the state of Arizona, as well as a multitude of attaining monitors. So the monitors that are meeting the standard are going to be in blue dots, and the monitors that are not meeting the standard are going to be red dots. The ones that are in the kind of downtown Maricopa area are a little hard to see, so there is an inset map to the upper right where you'll see there are 3 violating monitors kind of around the Durango curve in downtown Phoenix. There's 1 violating monitor in Pinal County, which is the Hidden Valley monitor. And then there's also 1 violating monitor in Santa Cruz County in the Nogales area. So we'll be focusing our presentation today on the Hidden Valley violating monitor in Pinal County. So based off this, the department has developed 3 draft recommended non-attainment areas. And so there is 1 that is noted here in purple, which focuses on those 3 violating monitors in downtown Phoenix. There's 1 in blue, which focuses on the non-attainment violating monitor at Hidden Valley. And then at the very bottom in red is a boundary that is to denote the violating monitor for the Nogales area. So as part of this, there is kind of a carve-out that is available in federal law. So under 40 CFR 5830, there is the ability for a demonstration to be put together that if a monitor was placed and is representative of microscale, localized hotspot, or unique middle-scale impacts, that monitoring site is not eligible for comparison to the annual standard. And so in partnership with the Pinal County Air Quality Control District and a news team, we have been investigating whether or not the Hidden Valley monitor meets those criteria. And the amazing work done by a news team is they have put together a recommendation to submit to EPA to have the Hidden Valley monitor excluded from consideration under this standard, which would allow the state to not recommend the area around Hidden Valley as being non-attainment. And so the Pinal County Air Quality Control District has developed that analysis and either has or will shortly be submitting that recommendation to EPA. And we will be integrating that into a report that if EPA accepts that demonstration that this monitor should be excluded, we will recommend that no portions of Pinal County be designated non-attainment. However, as that monitor is currently violating and we do not know if EPA will accept that demonstration, we still must proceed with the 5-factor analysis and coming up with a draft recommendation for this area. There's already a non-attainment area in this around the Hidden Valley site for the 2006 standard. So if it's not accepted by EPA to exclude for this standard, the state's recommendation will be to not expand the existing boundary down there, but to just retain that existing boundary if EPA does not accept it. So the recommendation put together by the state will kind of be a contingency-based 2-factor approach based off of how EPA acts. And so with that, we wanted to present some of the wonderful technical analysis that's being done and show you kind of what the state has been up to in analyzing this area for those 5 factors. And so I'll turn it over to my colleague, Elizabeth Sterner, here with more on that.
Thank you, Elias. All right, so here is some air quality data. We're showing the trends over about 10 years of the design values of the monitors located in Pinal County. So that orangey-red line is for the Hidden Valley monitor. You can see it's been well violating the new standard for quite some time now. That new standard is at that black dashed line. However, the other 2 monitors in Pinal County are in attainment of that new standard. Okay, so here's just a zoomed in photo with that pink is that recommended boundary in the event that the 5830 request does not get accepted. So the whole point behind that 5830 request is because some monitors can be representative of a very small area, like a middle scale monitor. So what we're showing you here is, if you look, you can see like kind of like a gray-blue little circle in that non-attainment area. That is a half-kilometer buffer of what that monitor is representative of. And so there's a monitor there, but we had to shrink it down very small so you could actually see what that area is that monitor is representative of. All right, so then here's just some more air quality data. So on the left, we're looking at the daily averages, of the mean PM 2.5 concentrations. You can see that at Hidden Valley in summer and in fall, that's when we see the highest PM 2.5 concentrations. One thing I also want to point out is that when EPA makes their designations, they have an extra year of data, so 2021 will drop off. They use 2022 to 2024, which we don't have yet because 2024 is still in progress. And then here on the right is the hourly averages for that monitor, and the gray line is the Hidden Valley monitor. You can see it peaks early morning around like 5, 6 a.m. Then it goes back down in the middle of the day and has a smaller peak again in the evening around 6 or 7 p.m. Okay, so here's some emissions data. So this is going to be information from the National Emissions Inventory. Every 3 years, the United States EPA takes an inventory of emissions across the United States and what sources they come from. So here we can see in that dark blue bar on the left, those are the types of sources. We have non-point sources, point sources, non-road, and on-road sources. You can see the non-point sources account for 94.3% of PM 2.5 emissions. And of those non-point sources, wildfires does account for 50% of those sources, and then crops and livestock dust is about 20%. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. All right, so then here is just some more data. So a lot going on this map, so let's break it down. You can see colored lines. Those are roadways showing the average annual daily traffic in the area. So red means higher traffic, green means lower traffic. So if you look in that pink boundary, you see that red circle. That is the violating monitor. You can see there's a lot of green roadways around it, meaning that there's not that high of traffic in the area. And then we have brown circles of different sizes. That is point source emissions from the 2020 National Emissions Inventory. And the bigger the circle, more emissions are being emitted from that source. So once again, by that violating monitor, there's not many point sources in that area either. And then you can kind of see on the bottom, like there's like that rainbow underlay on the map. That is population density. So when there's no color, that's very low population density. And then blue is when there's a bit more population density, up until red is the highest population density. You can see not much population around that monitor. And the whole reason why we look at the population density is it is a good indicator of some non-point sources. Some of those non-point sources would be like residential wood burning, but since there's not really any people really living near that monitor, and it also matches up with the information in the National Emissions Inventory, that those non-point sources are not really what we're looking at with this violating monitor. So then here is a zoomed in image, and we wanted to zoom in really big for you there on the left. This is some different land use types in Pinal County, so just to run through with you. Shades of blue is housing density, with light blue being low density, dark blue being higher density. And you can see there's not much blue really around that monitor. Green is going to be agricultural land use, so that's very prevalent around that monitor. And then yellow is dairy or feedlot land, which is also near that violating monitor. Okay. Let's break this down. So now we're getting into some of the meteorology and geography and topography in the area. So first, we're going to talk about that image on the top left. This is called a windrose. So the very center point on that on those graphs is the monitor. And we broke it out. We're showing the year of 2023, but we broke it out by season. From left to right, it goes spring, summer, fall, then winter. And then the colored bar, like the colored scale, is different wind speeds, with blue being low wind speed up to red with the highest wind speeds. And you can see there's kind of spokes coming off of this center point on each graph there. And where the spokes are, that is where the wind is coming from. And the farther that the spoke reaches out from the center, that means that like wind from that direction is more prevalent than other directions, depending on how far it goes out. So what we see here is that in spring and summer, there's a lot of red. That means that there's higher wind speeds around this monitor in the spring and summer. And that red is mostly coming from like the west, northwest area. So what that tells us is during the spring and summer, which if you remember from earlier from the air quality data, that is when PM2.5 is higher around this monitor. There's higher winds coming from the west. Okay, so then we're going to move down to the bottom graph. This is called a pollution rose. It's quite similar, except instead of showing wind speed, we're showing PM2.5 concentrations. So like blue and green is lower PM2.5 concentrations, and then like orange and red is higher PM2.5 concentrations. So you can see winter does not have a lot of red, so that means that winter does not have that high of PM2.5 concentrations, but we really see that more in the spring, summer, and fall. We do see some high PM2.5 concentrations really from all directions around the monitor, but it tends to be more prevalent from like the southeast, the east, the northeast. So then here we get into jurisdictional boundaries. This does tend to be the final factor that we consider after all of the other factors. But one thing you might notice is we have some like jagged cutouts around tribal land. That is because tribal lands are their own sovereign nations. We do not make recommendations for them. And then the western boundary, it meets up with the Pinal County line boundary. And those are really the only jurisdictional boundaries that we had to consider in making this. All right, so that was just a lot and pretty hard to show through some static maps that you can't really move around. So our wonderful GIS team has made this mapping tool that you can access, and you'll actually be able to turn on and off all the different layers that we just showed you. You can zoom in on the map, you can zoom out, just if you're interested to get a better idea of what's going on. So then here is just some of our information. You can sign up for our email list if you are interested in future meeting opportunities and just updates on the Boundary Designations Project. And then here's our contact information. That top email is probably the best one if you have any questions to reach out to us at. Everyone on the team has access to that email. But if you wanted to address one of us individually, there's all of our personal emails as well. And that's all.
Okay, any questions? I don't think we have. Supervisor Miller, I guess we do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the plan here is to submit this, hopefully not put us in a non-attainment for 2.5. That's the plan. And I'm very familiar with this whole thing because that monitor at the construction yard at our county yard was put there because I had the one from Cowtown moved many years ago. Anyway, but the thing I guess my question really is how much do they put into the surrounding area? Because where you're seeing those elevated readings are, well, one is right off the Au Chin in the fall. The Au Chin's just north. It shows that it's almost coming from the north, and that's when they're picking cotton. That's and that really creates a lot of the dust and everything. So, and some of those from the southwest is from Mexico, because if you go southwest from that site, all you do is get out in the middle of the desert. There's not even anything out there that can really generate dust. So I follow this all the time. I guess my question is, how much weight will they put into the actual geographic area and the surrounding conditions that are virtually we have no control over? Do they look at it like that?
Thank you, Chairman and Board Member Miller. Yes, so for the analysis, they do look at all of the different factors. For specifically emissions coming from auction, as Elizabeth had mentioned, we are unable to make recommendations for the Native Nation lands. However, EPA does have the ability to designate specific areas. And so if that is a consideration, there could be, petitions or, discussions with EPA that, maybe that area should be designated, but that's kind of outside of the process that the state puts together since we are not able to make recommendations for those areas. The auction Indian community lands have not been designated in this area, so that's why you would maybe see that cutout in there. And so there is kind of a carve out in the area where that area is not designated.
It is just all agriculture out there. I mean, and frankly, most of it is to the north and to the east of that site, which with the prevailing winds, but you're still going to get readings off the feedlot that's right there next to it, the dairies that are surrounding it, everything. So, but again, they do the best they can with what they have. I know before they moved it from Cowtown, the feedlot over there, I mean, they were putting $1 million of water on the feedlot every year. That's how, and they had what they called the water buffalo. That thing was about as long as this room and almost half the size. And they would just constantly be driving around there, and it still kept, triggering the readings on that. So, anyway, I just think on a personal level and on a philosophical, I think it's not fair that Arizona is under the same scrutiny as Ohio or Iowa, where their problem is mud. Our problem is we can't make mud because we don't have enough water. But that's my editorial part of it. But anyway, thank you for the presentation. It's good information, and I'm going to monitor it, and hopefully we can prevail on the outcome. So thank you.
Thank you. Any others? No.
Chairman, if
Yes,
I may.
ma'am.
Just for the record, the presentation that was presented today was an updated presentation, and it is attached to the agenda.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Don't make me gavel you. Item number 7, discussion on updates regarding the 2024 state and federal legislative session, including bills, budget proposals, committee hearings, and pending or proposed upcoming legislative requests from the Board of Supervisors members. Supervisor Miller, would you care to bring us up to speed on some of these things?
I will. There's not a lot to, go over with the state stuff because it's signed, passed, and I guess we'll cure it sometime in September, whatever the 90-day period was from the signatures. But I think the thing to pay attention to with the state is there's 9 ballot measures that are going to be on this election, which is one of the reasons we're going to have 4 pages of ballots. But there's a lot of information on there. I suggest that everybody be very familiar with what they're voting for on these ballot measures. There's a lot to go over and a lot to understand. And then there's 3 that are citizens initiatives that that are still probably trying to cure those. We could have 12 items of ballot initiatives on the ballot. So please pay attention to that. What I did this summer was with NACO, and if you don't mind, if I can expand on that, I represented Arizona at the from CSA and went to the National Organization of Counties, which was very interesting. I haven't been to one of those for a while, and there were a lot of breakout sessions for all kinds of information. The number one thing that probably showed up in 70 to 80% of the breakout sessions was AI. AI is here to stay, and it's being used and put into applications that I don't think people ever thought of. And the one that caught my eye was plan review. They have beta programs out there already that you can take a set of plans, 40, 50, 60 pages, and you've uploaded all your information on your codes and everything. You put the plans in there in less than an hour, 30 minutes. The entire plan is reviewed, and it gives you a list of the deficiencies. Done. And that is something that's coming, and it was caught more attention from all kinds of counties all around the United States about being able to process that type of work that quick. And so I'm going to keep track of it. I think AI is going to be the future. Everything from crime-solving applications to researching all kinds of information, because it can crunch so much information so much faster. And I just think it's the sign of the times, everybody. And I think that we should follow it and monitor it and see if there aren't places where we can use it in our own operations. So the conference was a lot more interesting than I thought, because I've been to those in the past, but there's a lot of new things coming out. So anyway, that's my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, Supervisor Miller. Item number 8, purchasing division report. Ms. Woods.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. I'm Angie Woods, Director of the Office of Budget and Finance, and I have the pleasure of presenting to you today's purchasing division report. I am going to go over a very abbreviated summary of the report. There's over 800 pages of documentation in this week's report. It's inclusive because our purchasing division is very busy at this point in time, because new fiscal year, we're entering into new contracts, we're renewing contracts, those types of things. So I just wanted to preface that if there's a question on anything specific, I will be asking you to call that out specifically. Within that purchasing report, there are 3 contract awards that the board is being requested to approve. They are for RFP 203026 for attorney services for public defense, RFP 220226 for specialty legal services, RFP 250725 for legal publication services. Under the contract amendments, there are 9 contract amendments that the board is requested to approve. Those amendments come under RFP 193425 for credit and debit card services, RFP 203026 for public defense services, RFP 208025 for on-site tire consignment, ROQ 226327 for housing electrical installation, repair, renovation, and replacement, ROQ 226527 for housing roofing installation, repair, renovation, and replacement, RFP 203127 for correctional health services, RFP 230428 for state lobbyists, RFP 230628 for weed abatement services, and RFP 242729 for landscaping. Additionally, the board is requested to approve 3 competition impracticable purchases over $100,000. They're included in the report. The board is also requested to approve 1 change order that exceeds our minimum thresholds. Within the division of cooperative purchase agreements between $100,000 and $250,000, there are 18 purchase orders that we have made so far, in this term, that we're asking to actually just give you an update that we're making these 18 purchases with cooperative agreements. Additionally, there are 7 requisitions over the amount of $250,000 that we're utilizing cooperative agreements that they're included in the report that for your approval. Is there anything that you would like specific information on?
I'm not seeing any. Thank you. Is that it?
That's it, sir.
Boy, you did brief that down, didn't you?
I did try to.
Thank you. Okay, being there's no questions, do we have a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the Purchasing Division report as stated.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 9, consent items. This is all items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. I have a request from Supervisor Surdy to pull item number AG and a item from the public, no rec, number AV. Is there anybody from the board that would like to pull?
AW.
AW. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody from the public? Seeing that, Mr. Revelis. AZ? Victor. AV. Okay. And that you, whenever you, I pulled that for null, and so both of you. Okay. Okay. Being that there's no more to be pulled, can I get a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve consent items A through BA minus AG, AV, and AW.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. And so let's start with AG. Supervisor Surdy.
So this is a very long, and this has been a long time in coming with this building down there, named after Kelly Haddad, who was a longtime resident and figure in the Kearney Superior area, Justice of the Peace for like 30 years. And the county's always had this building, and we haven't quite known what to do with it. And the circumstances in the last few years for Kearney, where they have kind of lost their city hall and been displaced, and they can do so much with this building. So we finally worked out the details where we were able to turn it over to them, and it's going to be theirs now forever, and they can use it for what they really need it for. And I'd like to ask Mayor Stacy, who's here in the audience, to come up and maybe tell us what they do plan to do with it and how it will help the community. And we still have a little bit of use for it with the county, with the distribution of WIC, et cetera, but we've got those details worked out. And then I'd like to formally present, if we vote yes on it, then so what can we do with it? Thank you, Mayor Stacy, for making the drive.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Surdy, Mayor, Chairman Goodman, and the rest of you supervisors for hosting us today. Pending the vote, we'll decide whether we throw you out of it or not. So we'll wait and see how that goes. I'm just kidding you. So the town of Kearney was formed in the 1950s out of 3 other communities that were consumed by the Ray Mine open pit operations just 6-7 miles down the road. Prior to the town of Kearney, people lived separately according to their race. People from Mexico lived in Sonora. People from Spain lived in Barcelona, and the others lived in the town of Ray. So Kearney has the distinction of being one of the first master-planned integrated communities in the United States. We are, I like to think, what the United States was always supposed to be. Our neighbors came from everywhere, and they still do, and we welcome them every day. But the one thing Kearney never had was a Genesis story. Like, how did we become who we are? Why did this town pop up suddenly out of nowhere? And there is no symbol in that community that binds us together except that courthouse, that administration building. It has become the center of our community. We hold parades in front of it. We host dances, and it's our stage. And for that to become a part of our community going forward means more than just the economic development opportunity for the town. It's a cultural symbol. It's part of the fabric of who we are. And that's what I wanted to convey to you today. It's more than just a building. It's actually the symbol of the town. And I thank you for recognizing that and your consideration in this vote.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too think it's a great opportunity for the community to allow them to be able to use this. I did have some people reach out to me, though, about the name of the building, if they're able to maintain that name to the facility that it was dedicated to. And I think, Mr. Surtee, you talked about how the gentleman that it was named after was kind of one of the people in that community for a long, long time. I know, Mayor, do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, absolutely. So I live in Kelly Haddad's old house.
Okay.
I've known them my whole life. It would be over my dead body that name be changed on that building.
I think we're off and running.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Does that answer it?
Thank you very much.
You know, and I wanted to add something. You know, my son-in-law, his family, both sides, his mom and his dad, grew up in Kearney. Mm. And so my son-in-law's a pretty good dude, so that says a lot about Kearney.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So with that, can we have a motion moving forward?
I move we approve item AG.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Can we present a key? And
Yeah,
a deed?
let's. Oh yeah, you've got a big old honking key, don't you? Where's Kevin at? Is he in here?
He's taking a nap. No,
Not that
different
Kevin. Oh, I forgot. I got two other Kevins in here.
Kevin with the camera.
Let's all go down. I think, yeah, for sure. Took all our votes.
Okay. There we go. Nice. Nice display of the key. 3, 2. Nice. We're going to do it again. One more. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Thank you.
Don't break it, Steve.
Oh, yeah. I'm more to chrome. Oh, chrome.
Okay, item AV. No.
I'm Noel Reck from Eloy regarding item AV. Seems like this is another bad boys, what you gonna do, cops TV show, and if so, I urge you to vote against this. Studies have shown that these type of programs prioritize violent crime over white-collar crime, black and brown interactions over those with whites, that young viewers are drawn to the violence presented. After all, sex sells. They depict an exaggerated sense of danger. They provide unrealistic depictions of law enforcement processes. They reinforce a hero versus villain mindset and thus foster citizen distrust of law enforcement. These type of programs have been rejected by law enforcement agencies in Chicago, Fairfax, Virginia, Washington, D.C., St. Louis, Honolulu, among others, for these reasons. The job isn't for entertainment. I don't consider this entertainment to watch people get arrested, to watch them get tased, to watch them get handcuffed, whatever the case may be. I also think that the timing and motivation seems somewhat suspicious. So again, I urge you to vote no against item AV. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor, or
Does Roberto want to speak?
Mr. Roberto, did you want to speak? Okay. No, he's waving to you right now, but we'll have him speak. Come on up, Mr. Roberto Reveles.
Roberto Reveles, resident of Gold Canyon, supporter of law enforcement, especially in Gold Canyon, where we have a lot of traffic issues and limited sheriff's officers who can respond to those issues. But previous board members have considered this over the past several years, the idea of turning over costly sheriff's office facilities, vehicles, and personnel to producers who bring disrepute to our county by emphasizing disproportionate out of reality the presence of criminal activity in Pinal County. Yes, we have it, but to use costly taxpayer-funded facilities in this deflection from professional law enforcement to entertainment raises a lot of questions about fiduciary responsibility exercised by the Board of Supervisors. In executive session, I read where you considered monetizing the sheriff's office entertainment. Well, to monetize means to bring revenue. Who is this bringing revenue to? The county taxpayers? To the Board of Supervisors? To the county of government? So again, in light of the prevailing criticism that's been exposed and distributed in our county about so-called corruption, I urge that you bring light to this issue and consider it, if you're going to consider it any further, in an open session as a regular agenda item, allowing for full debate instead of the limited time that consent agenda items receive. Pinal County doesn't deserve this publicity in a booming economy. Reject it. Thank you.
Sheriff Lamb.
Supervisor Goodman, Chairman Goodman, the supervisors. These are not pro-police. For the last 16 years, 8 years under the previous sheriff, 8 years under me, these folks get up here and they trash the police. This is not pro-police. They don't like this because what it shows is the good job that we do. You know, if people get up here and talk about corruption, then put us on TV. We'll show you exactly how we do the job. The reason we entertain these is because it shows law enforcement a positive light when political activists try to continue to throw us under the bus. It also is great for hiring. In a world where nobody wants to do this job, I tip my hat to all of you for increasing the pay for our guys. But this is not a job people want to do because of exactly this. You get activists that get up here and take shots at us every chance they get. We have an opportunity to showcase the great work that the men and women of Pinal County done. Contrary to what they may tell you, they have always been good for us in the sheriff's office. It has increased hiring. It has put Pinal County on the map. It has increased morale. We have not seen an increase in in lawsuits. We have actually, it has no impact on tax dollars. We do the job one way or the other, whether somebody's sitting in the front seat or not. So every argument that has been made today is completely anti-police. And they can sit and tell you that they're pro-police all day long, but their actions over the last, at least that I've watched, for at least the 8 years and the 16 years by previous administration or otherwise. This is nothing more than showcasing the great work that men and women do and the great work that law enforcement does in this country. It is a great tool for hiring. It is a great tool for exposure to the county. I think we've all seen that over the last 8 years. And once again, we feel an opportunity to showcase the great work that the men and women do, not only on the road, but in the jails. And I think it's a great opportunity for our agency and for the county. And there's no merit to any of the issues that have been arisen today. And to assume that this is timing, I'm no longer going to be the sheriff. How's this timing for me? It'll probably not even come to fruition for another few months. I didn't win my race, so how is this politically advantageous to me in any way, shape, or form? This is about the agency, and contrary to what people think, we have always had the best of the county and the agency in mind. And I have been willing to put myself out there in the public to benefit the agency and the men and women that work there and to benefit this county, only to be reputed multiple times. So the fact is, this is a good deal. Activists don't like it. Anti-law enforcement people don't like it because it actually goes contrary to the narrative. And as far as Hawaii, Chicago, those places, Democrat-run cities, I wouldn't want a camera on there either because it showcases just how awful those policies are and how bad crime is in those cities. To the contrary, where we have good policies, it showcases that we have great communities, safe communities, while we do have some crime, which shows that we do something about it. This is another opportunity, and I would hope that you guys would approve it because I think it's great for the agency and great for the county. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions? Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Sheriff. Will you or any other member of your department be employed by the company after they start filming in January or February?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, Supervisor Kavanaugh, no, I don't know of anybody that would be employed by that. Long Crime has actually used some of our videos. We've given them permission in the past at no benefit to the agency. We do it to promote the agency. I have no agreements, nor does anybody else in my department have any agreements with these folks.
So the film that's shot here, they're going to own the film to use in their production, right?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, that is correct. Much like what Live PD had, they owned the film. We didn't own the film. They owned the film.
So there's the Fridays with Frank, that's on YouTube, is that right?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, that's correct.
And then the TikTok, is that owned by the Friday with Frank TikTok? Is that the county or the sheriff's office, or is that independent of either?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, you're probably aware that county policy prohibits TikTok, so we don't have a sheriff's TikTok. Any TikToks outside of that would be privately owned by anybody else.
Okay, so any revenue gain from those TikToks go to whomever owns the account?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. I have a comment that I'd like to make from speaking personally, and working with you over the last 8 years has been a real treat. Your dignity and things that you've done and the way you treat people, very respectful. I've appreciated that. And I've also seen a lot of changes that have made in our sheriff's department that has made it positive and has attracted more individuals to come and work here in Pinal County. So as personally, I just want to tell you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Supervisors, thank you. And I appreciate all the support. And, look, I can stand up here and I listen to people talk about corruption. And the fact is they just don't like the outcomes of how things go sometimes. I don't make the rules or the laws. But this is the best way. If you think there is those types of issues going on, then I've always said I'm open to any audit, and I'm open to any camera riding around because you'll see exactly the work we do, and it's a great job.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have a motion moving forward then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve AV as presented.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're probably going to have some questions on AW. Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item's come up before from Big Blue, I think it's called Massive Blue, and this item says they intend to deliver various crime leads. In the past, they said they had not delivered any crime leads, except for maybe one in an arson case. And I wondered if they have demonstrated the ability to produce crime leads for the $500,000 or so contract with the county.
Sheriff Lamb.
Mr. Chairman, supervisors, we've gone over this and we've already opened up more than what we should. There's proprietary issues, Mr. Kavanaugh, and there's also law enforcement sensitivity, which you are not. And so therefore, we've gone into this as much as we can. Supervisor Miller mentioned the importance of AI. A year ago, ChatGPT and these things didn't exist. So to assume that some company is going to come in here with 10 years experience in AI would be naive. This is a fluid situation that we feel very good, vetted them very well. We like the people involved. They bring a lot of experience to the table, and we are very comfortable with it. We're not going to get into any more of that because I think it's inappropriate for their business, and also it's law enforcement sensitive.
So they have not produced any results. That no leads, you're saying they produced no leads? No evidence that was actionable? That would be public knowledge. That would be public information. Anything that was produced by...
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, I don't think that would be public knowledge. I think that there's a lot of ongoing investigations that they're not going to give you information on, and we're not going to give you information on. The money has been allocated. This is grant money. This is a decision made by the sheriff's office. We're good with it. This is outside of your scope.
Well, if it was completely outside of our scope, you wouldn't be standing here.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, we're only here because you had to approve the money and the contract. And if you don't want to approve it, you don't have to. But the fact is, we vetted it. We're comfortable with it. It's a good contract. It's a good company. And if it doesn't work, then we'll move to a different company. But there are not a lot. Nobody brings 5 years, 10 years experience in this field right now.
Okay. Any other comments or anything, questions? All right. Motion moving forward.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve item AW as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. We will now recess our normal Board of Supervisor meeting and open up our public health meeting. So on our public health, we have consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or a member of the public requests that it be pulled at the time that it's presented. Is there any of the A through F, is there any items that the board would like to pull? County manager? Anybody from the public? Okay. Now, seeing that there's none, let's have a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve consent items A through F for the Pinal County Public Health Services District meetings.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. Okay. Item number 11.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if we may adjourn at public.
Oh, let's do that. Let's adjourn the Pinal County Health Services and we'll move on now back to reconvene our Board of Supervisors meeting. Item number 11 now. Now you're on.
Mr. Chair, board members, item number 11 is consists of a PZ 03323 and PZPD 00623. This is called Golden Acres. And this was established first in 1981. The current application is to rezone it to the current zoning. And here we go. So it's just under 10 acres and also a planned area development over the same acreage. The location is northeast of Ironwood and Ranch Road in District 2. Golden Acres LLC is the owner. John Gillespie with Rose Law Group is the applicant. Is it this one? There we go. Okay, this shows you the general location of the park here. Zooming in more closely, and you see that to the west and to the north is similar zoning. The aerial shows you then also similar in nature manufactured home parks. Vicinity map, and this shows you the current MHP zoning. Area plan for Santan area. And this shows you the conceptual site plan for the park. This is looking to the north, I believe into the park itself. There you got a open area in the front, and then you have the manufactured homes behind that. Looking to the south across the street. And then looking east down the adjacent road and also to the west. So the site was permitted for manufactured home park in the early 80s, mid-80s, and the rezoning is intended to upgrade and modernize the facility. And the PAD was requested due to the park being just under 10 acres in area. Normally it needs 10 acres. And staff has not received any opposition at the time. Similar uses also exist adjacent to the site. Planning and zoning recommendation was for approval, 701 vote for PZ 03323 with the one stipulation. And then similarly, P&Z recommended approval for PZPD 00623 with 9 stipulations that are mentioned fully in your staff report. Staff would be happy to entertain any questions the board may have.
Anybody have any questions? The applicants here? Yeah. Would you like to present or?
Thank you, Chair Goodman. John Gillespie with the Rose Law Group, 7144 East Stetson, Scottsdale, Arizona. I do have a presentation, but I don't want to belabor the point necessarily. Glenn did a great job introducing this project. With me today is Charlie Burns, who owns the Golden Acres, been operating out of this site. The proposal here is to really just upgrade this location. There's no paved roads. There's no open congregate kind of areas for the community. There's no perimeter landscape boundary. We want to upgrade this site and provide some of these nice development amenities. We've done neighbor outreach, and I don't believe we've received any neighbor comments today. I could be corrected by chairman of the board, but
I will have to defer to staff.
I think he made a comment. There was no
Okay.
no public comments at this point, but this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up.
Very good. So I'll take any questions that you might have.
Any questions? And these are all park models that's going to be in there, correct?
Correct. Park models, and it's a park model recreational vehicle. So as the park fills out, it'll have nice park models to be lived in.
Good, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing, and we're actually going to open up 11 and 12 for public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that's here would like to speak? I don't see a whole lot jumping up. So we'll close the public hearing, and we'll now entertain, we'll take these individually by vote. So item number 11, do we have a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item number 11 as presented with one stipulation.
Okay, do we have a motion? And we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item 11 passes. Item number 12. We have a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 12 as presented with 9 stipulations.
Okay, motion and a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, thank you. Item number 13. This is a discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 080724, ordering the abandonment of an extinguishment of a easement comprising of portion of Muleshoe Road. It sounds like Supervisor Surtees' area.
It is. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the Board, Celeste Garza, Development Services, Public Works. This is an abandonment on Muleshoe Road. If you remember, maybe back in March, there was a little controversy over whether Greasewood and Muleshoe would be abandoned, and the property owner that made application decided to not proceed with the Greasewood alignment, but rather just include Muleshoe in moving forward. So they are here and present today, just in case you wanted to ask them any questions. But the resident or constituent that was here at the last board meeting in March didn't say there would be any opposition to including Muleshoe, so that's where we're here today. We haven't received any issues. Similar to the presentation last go around, the alignment currently doesn't exist as a usable roadway. There aren't any utilities within the alignment of Muleshoe. The property owner would like to combine and sell a piece of property, so that's kind of the reason for the abandonment.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay. There's a public hearing to this portion. Is there anybody that would like to speak in regards to this? I do have a card. Sandra Kelsing, would you like to speak? Okay, all right. So, she does put here she's in favor. All right, let's get a motion. Let's close the public hearing portion, and now let's have a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 13 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Item number 14. Public hearing and discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 080724, and this is another abandonment extinguishment of an easement in Supervisor District 5. Celeste?
All right. Cactus Road is located in the northern Apache Junction area. Portions of it you can see are hatched off in black. They've already been abandoned. So this segment north of Saddle Butte looks like this. It's undisturbed. The topography is a little up and down in the area, so the county never improved this section of roadway. There won't be an affected legal access or objection from any surrounding property owners or utilities. This is another photo looking down the Saddle Butte alignment. This is a road that the county does maintain to the east and to the west. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay. This has a public hearing portion of it, so is there anybody from the public? We'll open up public hearing. Anybody from the public would like to comment regarding this? Seeing that there's none, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll ask for a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 14 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. That's two less roads. Next, item number 15, discussion approval, disapproval of request to create new job classifications to meet the current staffing needs.
Yes, thank you, and good morning,
Claudia.
Chairman Goodman and members of the Board of Supervisors. For the record, Claudia Lujan, Human Resources Director. The two new positions that are before you are the Deputy Constable job classification and the Family Advocacy Center Supervisor job classification. The first one, with the Deputy Constable, it will work under direct supervision of the presiding constable to ensure seamless and timely administration of the office. And the Family Advocacy Center Supervisor will oversee quality assurance components of the program, ensure organizational consistency, and provide direct support for the 3 family advocacy centers throughout the county. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I do have one question in regards to the deputy constable. Who sets the salary of that?
It's we did a salary market survey on it, and the pay range is, as you see here, between $49,647 and $76,953. So it's within that range, and it's at the discretion of the presiding constable.
Okay. Everybody comfortable with that?
Position for sure. We've seen in the last few years when one of those guys goes down, how much it stresses the others to have to fill for such a huge county.
Okay. Supervisor Miller, did you? Okay.
That'd be a constant rotation. I'm good.
Okay. Supervisor Kavanaugh, did you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion moving forward then? Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 15 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. It's unanimous. Item number 16. Discussion of board members' requests for future agenda items or reports to be presented at upcoming meetings. Anybody have any that they would like to add? Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sent you an email and wanted to add an item for today about problems with the primary election. There are statistical problems that don't appear in any other race that we have found in the history of Arizona going back to 2012. There are 6 races that had 12 candidates, or at least 12 candidates, and in those races, the ratios between the early voting and poll voting between those candidates remained essentially the same. While that's not unusual to have a ratio that's the same, it is highly unusual to have it in the same race, and lightning strike territory to have it in 6 races in the same county. This only occurred with county races. This phenomenon did not occur in state and federal races. So
Okay.
I'd like a special session on August 9th to discuss these potential problems before we go to the canvass on Monday.
Okay. Any others?
I have one. My next door neighbor is actually from Colombia, and they asked that if we could do a resolution condemning the election that just happened in Venezuela. Everybody knows that it was like 2 or 3 to 1 down there, And then the dictator in charge just refused to leave and said, no, that's how it is. And of course, are they going to listen to Pinal County? No, but I think just as a show of support to all of South America, which this is a big deal to them, that we just write up like I said, some kind of a proclamation that we do to condemn it.
Okay. Supervisor Miller?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Supervisor? Okay.
Nothing for me.
The email that you sent Supervisor Kavanaugh, I asked that it be distributed to the other supervisors as well, so they have that. And so if you'll look that over and get back to Leo, I'd appreciate it. Okay. I think item number 17 is going into an executive session. So can I get a motion moving forward?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are in executive session.
Chair, I move we come out of executive session.
Have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're out of executive session, and we are adjourned.
Easy, easy.